Hi, welcome to Bear Doll Podcast, episode number 2. I really want to give a big thanks to everyone that's listened to the podcast already from the first episode. I didn't think we were going to have that many views already. It was uploaded a week ago or so, and last I checked, there's probably about 57 views. I could be wrong on that, but I also want to give a apology from the first podcast. We're talking about in the video where how I have this weird thing where if I look at someone, I just automatically picture someone either as an actor, a drawing, or something. I accidentally said the guy from Under Siege, Nicolas Cage. I want to correct myself. It is Steven Seagal. Very good actors. I'm not trying to stir anything, but good actors in the prime, even still good actors. But yeah, in this episode, I want to talk about things that are embarrassing or something you should just, man, I should have known. I should have known better. This is during the summertime for me. I was setting up a new bow that I got from the year before. I didn't get a chance to use. It's a Bear Archery Cruise 2, I believe it is. And I was out in the back of my house and shooting targets. I kept on missing the target every shot I was making. I couldn't figure out anything. I was moving the sight, the pin, up, down, left, right. I couldn't get it. I tried everything I could think of. For bear archery, when you order online, whatever, it comes already set up, and it has a certificate, who set it up, and just letting you know it's all set up. I tried every little thing I could think of. I tried even shooting off where I wanted to shoot on the target. It still landed either left or right. So I put the bow down and I'm just looking at it, staring at it, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm just too close. I just need to step back a little bit. Still having issues. Go back where I wanted to stand, 20 feet. I remember putting the bow back down. I looked at it and I'm like, let's look at the rest. So I picked it up, draw it back, and I'm kind of looking and I'm like, oh, okay. The rest should be more towards where my hand is. So I get that rest put where I wanted it. First arrow went right where I wanted it to go. So I was like, wow, I just got lucky. Shot a second arrow where I wanted to go. And I was like, all right, just to be sure, I shot in the third one. Went a little lower, but still landed in the dot that I was shooting at. And it's just something that I should have just known better, That's the thing about shooting a bow for me. Just the mechanics, every little thing you gotta tweak and adjust. That's something I like to do, and because when you're shooting a bow, you don't think about anything else. You just think about hitting that target. So if you're just having a bad day, pick up a bow, shoot. You're just gonna think about one thing: hitting that target. Thinking when I was shooting that, before I even looked at that rest, I thought maybe I was just having little panic attacks. You shoot and you just have that jerk, that reaction of just for that string just hitting, making that clap noise. But yeah, I should have known that. I should have just looked at the rest in between time, not just the sight or the peep sight, or check my stance and stuff. But like I said, it's every little mechanical thing that you can work on the bow. I even thought maybe it was my cams too, which doesn't make sense. But another embarrassing thing that happened was during hunting season this year. It was opening day bow. Everything was great. I woke up, got dressed, and go in the living room, giving my wife a hug and kiss, preparing everything what I need for that day. And I go out, realize I get down halfway down the road, I forgot my coffee, so I'm not going to turn around, I'm just going to keep going. and I was already making good timing. So there was a gas station a couple towns over before I went to the area that I hunt at. And so I stopped in there, get myself some coffee, got myself some snacks and stuff for the day. And no, I get to the hunting, right, the place I went hunting, and there was a little, I think it was a white van. That was already there. It's public land that I hunt at, and not thinking anything of it. Uh, so I crossed the fence. Within, I think it was like an hour I waited. Sipping on my coffee, thinking where I'm gonna stand at. And as soon as I cross the fence, I walk up a little bit of an incline, and I see a couple guys on the bottom, towards the middle more of the woods there. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go on the other side. And these guys were shooting a squirrel, and so I went on the other side of them, and just keep an eye out, because if a deer gets spooked from the guns that they're shooting, figured that they're probably gonna kick them out my way. So I'm in there in the woods for about good 2 hours now, and thinking to myself that my stomach's kind of bothering me a little bit. And so I figured, all right, I had coffee on an empty stomach, so maybe I should eat something and get rid of that little bit of that gut rot that I got. Ate, felt a little better. Probably a good half hour, 45 minutes later, my stomach was hurting again. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe if I hold off, I'll be all right. Worst case scenario, walk back to my truck. I'll go down to a gas station that's down a ways. So I decide, okay, I'm gonna use get to my truck, and I gotta use the bathroom. Now my stomach starts really hurting. I'm like, I ain't gonna be able to make it. I don't really want to sit in that truck and end up having to pull over somewhere else. So I walk on the other side of the woods. I'm looking around. I see this big tree. It's got branches or lower down. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go underneath there, and if I gotta pop a squat, I'm gonna pop a squat. So I wait just a little bit. I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure there's no one around, because I already know there's two guys down in here. I don't know if there's anyone else. I'm looking around, kind of taking my time, but at the same time, I'm like, I gotta go. So anyway, I take off a little bit of the gear that I had, pop squat. Still kind of looking around, taking my time, trying not to force it, because I don't want to fall into it. And I finished up what I was doing, grabbed the toilet paper out of my bag. Luckily, I brought that. I finished up, take a few steps, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's a tree stand down probably about 100 feet away, maybe more. And it's a tree stand that's just been left there. Just no one uses it. So, and sometimes later on in the season, I'll sit up in it, or if it's getting later on the day, I'll sit up in it just for a backup plan. I take a few steps out underneath that tree, and there's an opening where you can see from the stand into the tree. Kind of look up. There's a man sitting in that damn stand, decked out in camel. I mean, this is high quality camel, man. And we locked eyes. I just took a goddamn shit. And I'm embarrassed because I know he could see me, because I sat in that stand before and I can see into that tree. So I'm embarrassed. I'm looking in his eyes. He looks horrified. I kind of looked out a little bit, and I act like I didn't see him there. I turned and walked, and I'm starting to walk. I'm like, man, I gotta get the hell out of here. So as I'm walking a little bit, I start laughing to myself, thinking, man, he saw me take a shit. And I've never told a story before, except for maybe a couple good friends of mine. So I I I decided, well, I'm not gonna leave. I'm gonna go on the other side. I gotta get away from this area, and I gotta make sure I'm not by those two other people that are down at the bottom of the hill. So I walk, I make sure I have everything, and now I realize, shit, I don't know where my rest is because I have a thumb rest and it was hooked up to my straight in my bowl, and I'm like, shit. Good thing I brought a spare. I brought a wrist strap. I put it on, looked at it, make sure it was functional because I know I had another one that just kind of didn't work. So I put that on. I'm sitting there. I'm laughing still. I'm still laughing at myself. And I'm still a little embarrassed. So I see a couple of these guys are walking towards my way. So I kind of walk down towards the bottom of the hill and walk back all the way around. And I can, now where I'm standing, I could see that tree stand from a far distance. And I can kind of see the guy. Even though he's decked out in some expensive camel there. And, a couple hours go by, I kind of forget about it. A couple times I'll think to myself, man, I start laughing. And it's getting to, I say it's about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I see both those guys come up. One goes one way, the other one goes the other way. Now the guy that's going the other way, he's going towards the area where that tree stand is. And I was thinking to myself, I bet that guy is going to go get him. And, I'm sitting there, I'm still looking around, observing stuff, I'm just watching those guys. And these guys happen to be Hispanic. And when they're walking down, it looked like they were leaving. So this guy was with this guy that was in a tree stand because I see him walking with this guy. And I'm thinking to myself, I bet he's going to tell him that he saw someone take a shit in the woods. And I tell you what, I don't speak Spanish. But I knew that guy said something to him because the other guy was laughing his ass off and pointing at him and, hitting him in the chest, laughing. And I'm sitting there like, oh shit, I gotta move further down because they could see me where I'm sitting. I'm like, oh, maybe they don't recognize, maybe you won't recognize me. So I took off my jacket and I had another camel sweater underneath. Thinking if I switch this out, he probably won't recognize me. Well, they never came back around, but they left. And I was thinking about, I'm not seeing nothing. I might as well call it quits for the night. But I was like, yeah, I'm going to wait. Because I was thinking to myself, if I leave, and if he goes, hey, do you know what I saw? I saw someone take a shit. And I'm going to be like, oh, really? Yeah, I saw some guy. He looked like he was embarrassed when I walked past him. Oh, man. So, like I said in the last episode, the last podcast I did, no matter who you meet or whoever you talk to, and you're talking about hunting, talk about the embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you out in the woods, because I guarantee you that's going to be a funny conversation. It doesn't matter how embarrassed it is, just talk about it, because that's going to stick with you forever. So, but when I left after that, we locked eyes. I left. I started laughing or whatever. I got to that first spot I was at. I texted a buddy of mine because he has to use the bathroom a lot. I don't know if it's IBS or what, but I right away, I sent him a text. I'm like, look, someone saw me take a shit in the woods. He comes back with a response. You gotta know your surroundings, man. Man, what a shitty situation. So I met up with him a couple days. I think it was maybe the next day, a couple days after I had vacation. I went back to work. I saw him there. sees me, and he starts smiling, and I knew he was gonna bring that shit back up. Sure enough, he did. He said, "Man, you gotta know your surroundings." For a while there, I'm embarrassed to talk about, but at the same time, you gotta laugh about it. And this is a funny conversation. but, um, but yeah, that's something that was embarrassing. But should have known better. Should have looked up at that tree stand first. But when you gotta go, you gotta go. So always pack toilet paper in your backpack. That's all I gotta say about that. So, um, there's another time that I was out in the woods, and I brought my wife with me, and it was the first time she's ever been out in the woods with me, and I think you're pregnant. I think you were, what, 3 months pregnant, 4 months pregnant, and we went out gun hunting. Took her with me because my stepdad, normally I go with him, but he had a doctor's appointment, so he couldn't come out right away. Um, we're walking around, walking real slow, looking around, and we decided, and I was like, well, I don't really want to have my pregnant wife help me drag out a deer, so I figured, well, we'll stay in the upper part of the woods that we hunt at, and the vehicle's on the other side, so it won't be too much of a thing if we do end up getting a deer or whatever. We can drag it out, but I could drive it out myself, and we won't have too much of a distance or hills or whatever to climb up. And we're sitting, and she was on one tree, I was on the other tree, standing on another tree, and I'm looking around, and I see a trail cam. And I don't want to be in front of this trail cam, so I went to go get my wife. I'm like, hey, there's a trail cam there. We're going to move the other. I'm like, let's go down here. As I said, we're going to go down here, I turned around, realized my wife ain't following me. She's, here's a tree. My wife's right here. I turned around, I see her just jump in front of that tree and go, when you turn around and see your wife go to a fucking tree, you start questioning some things. So I walked up to her, what are you doing? She goes, I don't know. Man, that poor guy that owns that trail cam's probably got notification. There's a buck! What the fuck? I thought I saw Bigfoot. I'm kidding. But yeah, yeah, needless to say, we didn't walk in that part of the woods again. uh, so later on, it was the next season. I went out gun hunting. Excuse me. We went out gun hunting, and there's an archery stand that's on the bottom of the area that we're at, where I normally go to. No one goes on it. I think there was a big log, tree branch that fell on it, so I think it's been deserted. But that year, I noticed that there's no tree branch on it. So I go up in it, I sit in it, or stand in it, because there's no seat in it anymore, from the branch. So I'm standing up in it, and I can see a lot of things. And I'm standing in that tree stand. I'm kind of like leaning back on the tree, looking back. I have my arms crossed and whatnot. And I look over to my shoulder, and there's a trail cam there. I'm like, God dang it. So I blew a farmer snot right moments before that. It was super cold out that day. So my nose is running. I'm trying to clear it out. I kept on wiping my nose with my t-shirt, whatever. And looking over, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So you gotta watch those trail cams because people put them in weird spots in the woods. But yeah. So those are the embarrassing things that's happened to me, at least out in the woods. I know I got plenty more things that's happened in my personal life, and I'm sure someday I'll talk about that. But so if you ever go hunting, always bring a bag with you. Make sure you have snacks or some sort of food. It's because you never know what's gonna happen if you're out in the woods, especially if you're by yourself. You could get hurt, break an ankle, or whatever, and you're stuck there. So you always want to have something there so you can survive the night. So you want to bring food, some water, a lighter, maybe a fire starter, and the most important thing, bring toilet paper. Bring toilet paper. Toilet paper can be used for so many things that I just said. You could put your food on it so it doesn't get dirty. You can use it as a fire starter. You can dry off your lighter if it gets wet. Or you can use it to wipe your butt. So, always, always bring toilet paper. But, so anyway, that's the end of the episode. I'll be having another episode loaded up in a week. Maybe I'll talk about more stuff about hunting or whatever's on my mind that day. So, I hope you enjoy. I hope you can hit subscribe, the like button, follow me. And I don't know if is there comments on there, hon? Yeah, if there's a comment on there, please leave a comment on there. Please, no hateful stuff. No one wants to see that. We just want to get along with everyone. But if you want something for me to talk about, place a comment. I might mention it, might not. So, thanks for joining me. Have a good one.